Great Grand Rising, Great Grand Rising, come on in, come on in. Let me do this. Let me get this ready on Facebook and let's get ready to go. We're going to get activated. Yes, 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 yes. And we are ready to go. All right. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay, we're here. All right. With that being said, beloved, come on, let's get the good posture going. Let's sit with our feet flat, back straight, hand on heart. Put a hand on core, if you will, and just relax. Close those eyes if you can. Take a good healing deep breath in and exhale. And relax. Just relax from the crown of the head. Allow that skin over your scalp to relax. It pulls down the face. Drop the shoulders down from the ear. And just relax, beloved. Relax. Deep breath in. Exhale. Relax deeper. Your core, your arms, your fingers, your thighs, your legs, your feet, your toes. Feel your feet under you. Feel what you're sitting on or standing on. Anchor yourself. We are here. We are safe. Final deep breath in and exhale. We turn that focus inward. We want to activate the spirit of love and gratitude today. Just being thankful and being grateful for another day, for another opportunity, for being able to gather. Come on in, give me a great grand rising. Let me know you're here. I have been neglecting to do that over here on Facebook. Yeah, because I'm used to now us interacting on YouTube. All right. Give me a great grand rising. Let me know that you are here. This is Ilona Sanders. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Spiritual Success TV Live, where we are lighting the way to help you create a clear path forward on your personal and spiritual development journey. I am dedicated to delivering what you need to just grow, to move, to shift. All right. So, with that being said, we want to tap back into where we were last week. We want to pick up on part 2 of seeing your blind spots and then shifting them. And we want to work more today on how to really shift it and then use that so that it can empower you and transform your life. So your blind spots are not anything to be feared. They're not a demon that's working, to take you out. What they are more than anything else are defense mechanisms, protective mechanisms, things that we have allowed ourselves to create to help protect us. So last week we laid really good groundwork. We laid really good groundwork for where we're going and what we're doing. And so I'm just going to briefly recap that and then we're going to go, right? So blind spots, we all have them, right? These are areas of our life that we have no conscious awareness of. And then we operate like this and we get certain results. Now, the results that we get, thank you for that like. We need that. Come on, y'all. Come on in. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a like. We need that for the algorithm, right? So blind spots are area in your awareness where you cannot see or acknowledge certain behaviors, looking at the email, right? Thoughts or emotional patterns. Now, the thing about blind spots, like I said, we have them because they are protective measures. We want to protect ourselves. There are certain things that we don't want to see, we don't want to face. There are traumas that we have buried deep within our subconscious, right? And so these blind spots are there. Other people can see them, but we can't see them. And in your results and in the experience that you keep creating, the blind spots are seeking to show themselves to you. So you look at your results and you can see your blind spots. Now, blind spots develop because of ingrained habits. And I want you really looking at that. We looked at that last week, right? Habits that we have that's such a deep part of us. I was sharing with one of my siblings that how there's a habit that I have that's been with me since, I mean, early childhood that I just want to shift it. It started in early childhood. I could see myself, and I'm talking about when you use food to soothe. Nothing deep, dark, or dirty, right? Not that anything is. What you do is what you do. And we want to stop always judging ourselves, criticizing ourselves for how we have chose to survive. Now, is everything we're doing in our best interest? Probably not, right? That's why we're here. That's why we're here. So I could see myself, I couldn't have been more than 2 or 3 years old. I have good memories going back to uh, my toddler years. I could even see myself in a crib before I was able to walk, right? So, but I could see myself in Harlem, New York, sitting on a tenement. And if y'all remember, does anybody remember Mr. Softy? Mr. Softy, come on, talk back to me in the chat. If you remember Mr. Softy, the ice cream truck that came around, and somebody bought me an ice cream cone. And I could see myself sitting on that porch just licking and enjoying that ice cream cone. Now that's normal. It is normal to do that. But then probably around somewhere in my mid-20s, I shifted that and started using food and relaxing and entertainment to be a form of soothing, a form of escape. And that's like since my mid-20s, right? So, and there's nothing wrong with things that we do sometimes when we're operating out of our shadow self or operating with these blind spots. But when you get to a point where it starts interfering with your progress, with your success, with your productivity, that's when you want to start looking at these things. So ingrained habits, right? Defense mechanisms, emotional trauma, and unexamined beliefs that you have formed throughout your life. On my website, there is a free action guide called the Belief Audit. And everybody in my community does the Belief Audit. And it's not like a one and done. I'm actually going to do a whole teaching on that. I'm going to block out several weeks, at least 6 weeks. And we're going to go through that and get a real good belief audit done, hopefully before we even enter into 2025, or if not at the top of 2025, right? So again, we have these blind spots, but today, what I want us to look at now is how do you start shifting those blind spots? How do you start shifting those blind spots so that we can start developing in a better way? So here are some tips, beloved, on how you can start shifting those blind spots. Now, last week we talked about the first tip is to ask somebody that you trust, somebody that doesn't have a vested interest in you or an agenda for you. Those are people we cannot trust. We cannot trust them because they will not tell you the truth, or what they tell you will be so biased, that it's going to work for their benefit and not yours. All right. So we looked at that. And so some of the questions that you can ask, I'm looking at the email I sent out, is ask specific questions about areas you may feel stuck or uncertain about. And be open and non-defensive when you're receiving feedback. Because notice that this is what we do. Sometimes when we're receiving feedback, constructive criticism, right? Sometimes we get very defensive and we start defending ourselves, defending our position. Beloved, anytime you find yourself always having to defend yourself and defend your position and defend why, 9 times out of 10, that is the ego mind. That is a defense mechanism. It's designed to keep you safe, right? So, and the second tip we got to talk about last week was practicing self-reflection and mindfulness. Now, this is what I want to speak to when we talk about mindfulness and self-reflection. Blind spots, watch this, blind spots often hide in our unconscious habits, right? Regular mindful practicing being present, practicing being with yourself, right? Will help you begin to see what you're doing. It'll start helping you see your patterns, start helping you see when you check out, helping you to see when opportunities are in front of you and you miss an opportunity. And we all do. We all have these pockets when we miss opportunities. I just missed the opportunity, right? But what did I do? I didn't beat myself up about it. What did I do? I turned inward. I evaluated it. I looked at it. And then I learned from it. Somebody type in the chat, learn. You have to learn from it. Learn from it. All right. Now, what I want to really hone in on today, the reason that we are here is because we have to come in to mastery, being our best self, being our highest self, and learning how not to judge yourself unfairly. Stop judging yourself unfairly. Stop judging yourself harshly. Beloved, this is why we come together in a community, why I created the Spiritual Success Life community, is because when you start embarking on a journey of personal and spiritual development, you cannot do this work alone, not entirely. You can get started. You may make a shift or two, but what you're going to find, for those of you, let me see, who are all of my journalists? Who are all the journalists that's in the chat that you have a fairly consistent habit of journaling? Well, the thing about that is, as you become a consistent journaler, sometimes you have to go back into your journal to see what you are journaling. I'm doing that right now. I have a special book. It's a journal, but it's not like an everyday journal. And the book is called Inner Workings. And it's all about when I get fresh downloads from 5D. When I'm being shown something that significantly moves my life forward, it goes into this book called Inner Workings. And I'm looking through the book and I'm looking at it, right? What you will discover when you start looking at your journal entries, you will see, watch this, how life in this 3D realm is cyclical. You go around into cycles and patterns and habits. And so I don't want you to be disturbed, because what you're going to find is that 2024, you wrote the same thing in 2020. You wrote the same thing in 2016, maybe the same thing in 2012, right? I remember when I first started this practice and I started going back reviewing older journals, I was alarmed. I was like, oh my goodness. I could not believe that the same thing I was saying today, I said 4 or 5 years ago and even wrote it down. You see, beloved, this is how we are created, right? And the conscious mind push things back to the subconscious mind and into like an inactive file where you don't need it. And you may have gotten a revelation, or I'm not going to call it a revelation. I'm going to call it maybe an illumination. Because when we receive something that's revealed, that is uncovered, a real revelation, I'm talking about a godly, real revelation, should shift your life, right? It should be an automatic change and an automatic shift, right? But when something is illumined, when it comes to light, when it becomes into your conscious view, and you're like, oh my goodness, I never saw that, I looked at that, and you may write a note in your journal. So when I was looking back in my journals, I recognized, oh my God, this was the first time around. Oh, I felt so bad, right? Because normally this comes from the ego realm, the carnal mind. Your first thought is to like condemn yourself, like, oh my God, you were saying that 5 years ago. You still there? You're still saying the same thing? No, beloved, come on and talk back to me. Every round goes higher and higher. Every round. This is why I tell people all the time, this time is not like any other time. And so the reason why it's valuable to do this, number two, is that you bring things back into memory of what you have been illumined or illuminated through your own introspection and reflection. And that's a good thing if you go back and you see it, because the ego mind, the conscious mind, has a tendency to push those things off where you don't remember. And you need to be reminded, okay, yes, I'm reminded that I am not the person that my ego mind, carnal flesh mind, wants to tell me that I am. You are further along than you are giving yourself credit for. One of the things that was illuminated for me is that, and I was so happy for that, and I've held on to that and discussed it even with my mentor, so that we can watch for when I want to fall into a little pitfall of not seeing myself properly. Some of you guys, you don't see yourself in the proper manner. You're not seeing yourself in the right light, because the tendency of your ego mind, carnal mind, flesh mind, whatever language works for you, the tendency is to see you in your own mind's imagination, is to see yourself less than what you truly are. You're not giving yourself proper credit for all that you possess, for who you truly are, what you're able to create, what you're able to do for others. You're not giving yourself enough credit. So I want to kind of land here today that when you start engaging in shadow work, right, so that you can start looking at what your blind spots are, that you would start giving yourself credit for who you truly are and not get stuck trying to over judge yourself, right? Coming to overly sensitive judgment of yourself where you're beating yourself up or down, right? We don't want to get stuck there. So let me talk about shadow work for a minute, and then I'm going to land where I want to land today. Shadow works involve exploring the darker, and I mean dark in terms of not in full sight, the suppressed parts of your mind, of your psyche, right? These are often blind spots because, watch this, we have disowned or rejected them. By consciously integrating these hidden aspects, you can begin to heal and transform them. So one way to do this, one way to do shadow work, this is a simple way to start doing shadow work, is to start exploring your emotional triggers. And that's a word that we are very familiar with in the 21st century, right? Start exploring your triggers, like when something triggers you and sets you off and sends you into a tailspin. Yes, thank you. Let me see who's here. Come on, beloved. Give me a grand rising. I'm not seeing any comments come up. Come on, give me a grand rising. Let me see who's here so that I can greet you and give you some love. Thanks for the love, right? Okay. So you want to start exploring your triggers, because your triggers are areas where you are most reactive. That's what the trigger is. When you start reacting, and that's what triggers are, it brings you into reaction. Remember, there's a difference between reacting and responding, right? These often highlight blind spots. So I want you to think about that, and I want you to consider that the next time you're triggered, right? I have clients tell me all the time, oh, Dr. E, I was at such and such a place. I was around such and such a group of people, and I got triggered so badly, right? You were triggered because these are things that were buried deep within you, right? Start paying attention to recurring dreams, recurring themes in dreams. All of that lets you see, why do you want to see your blind spots? Because your blind spots are interfering with your transformation. Hey, great grand rising, great grand rising. Yes, Amanda Lee, yes, triggers are when we are mostly reactive. Yes, 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 yes. And so I want you looking at that. Your triggers are showing you your blind spots. They're showing you things that you have suppressed, things that you have kicked out in the background. Now, this is a caveat, beloved, with blind spots. This is a caveat, is that we tend to guard and protect the triggers when we are triggered, saying, I don't allow nobody to go there. I don't allow nobody to step into that. Man, that's why I don't like going there. That's why I don't like being in that environment. Beloved, that is telling you something very valuable about what is hindering and stopping your transformation. Yes, Amanda said, yes, start paying attention to recurring dreams. Yes, honey, yes. There's a lot in that. And so I want you to watch this when you're defensive. It could be about anything. We have these blind spots because of ingrained habits, right? Again, emotional traumas, unexamined beliefs that you have accumulated in your lifetime. All of these things create our blind spots. And when we have these blind spots, we operate a certain way. And other people see it, but we don't see it, right? And so why is it important for you to start seeing the blind spots? Again, because they are interfering, stopping and blocking your progress, your success, and your transformation. These blind spots are anchoring you in a certain dimension. And as we prepare, like I said, this is a time that I know we are being called. We are being called because there is a divine deposit that we are going to need to help us navigate and move forward for what is on the horizon. Beloved, the Almighty wants us to transcend and be far above what is transpiring and happening in this 3D realm. There is a divine deposit that wants to shift your life in such a way that you will be consistently in another dimension where you won't be falling back down the rabbit hole into the things that are triggered by these blind spots. So again, looking at the email that I sent out, right? These emotional triggers are showing you blind spots, right? That you are not seeing. And we want to see them because they're holding you back, right? So if you have been in the same cycle, with the same habits and the same patterns year after year after year, and you wonder why you're being anchored in a certain dimension, creating at a certain level consistently and not moving forward, is because of these blind spots that we are not recognizing, right? And like I said, when you start doing this work, you can start it initially, but you're going to need help and you're going to need support, because otherwise what happens is that the conscious mind begins to push things aside because you are not actively engaged in the process of transformation. Then all those things that were illuminated to you, that you wrote in your journal, that you were able to see, and then when you go back to a 4 or 5 year old journal, you're like, oh my goodness, I wrote this for you. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know I knew that 5 years ago, because the conscious mind and the ego mind have a job to do, and that's to protect you, insulate you, right? Keep you safe, because that's the messages that we gave. And then we wonder why we feel like certain prayers are not being answered. I shared this with a client on yesterday, that one of the things that was not widely discussed in many of our churches, I did in the School of Prophets and different things that I hosted over the years, is that many times why you still have prophetic word hanging in your atmosphere, and you feel like prophetic words have been taken hostage by something because it just has not come to pass, is that what you must know, and you need to write this down and remember, right, is that the person that heard the prophecy and was prophesied to is not the person that's going to experience the fulfillment of that prophetic word, especially when you hear a prophetic word that you have witnessed to, and you know that should be a part of your life. What we do when we hear those prophetic words, we're like, oh man, that was good. You may even get studious like we did in the early 2000s, late 90s, and write down the prophecies, and you may have it recorded. But there is something that is required of you to start moving in the vein of that prophetic word. Now, this is the gift of the prophet. The gift and the power of the prophet is in the words that they speak, because they speak with creative power, right? Now, I don't even want to go back to Brother Preacher Man that was out there telling you your words can't create nothing. See, we're not going back to sleep with that craziness. We're not going back to that, right? But one of the giftings of the prophet is the creative power that is in the word. When they speak a word in a life, their words start creating. But what happened is that we never come into alignment and start moving in the flow and in the realm of that prophetic word. And so the transitions that need to happen for that word to start manifesting, it gets arrested. It's almost held hostage to what? Your anchors, your blind spots, your ingrained habits. And so, especially when there's a word, you're still waiting for this big, grand, wonderful prophecy, and you're looking for its manifestation, but you're not moving. God, somebody talk back to me. You're not moving. You're not taking up the challenge. You're not stepping forward into the opportunity. You talk yourself out of opportunities all the time. But the person that the prophet is looking at and releasing that word, that person has to get up and start moving in alignment and an agreement with that word, right? So what happens sometimes is that you may receive a word that is so far from who you are that you don't even know how to receive the word. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be with kings and, and queens and presidents, and I'm going to be on this worldwide stage. Well, there's an ego part of us that wants to receive that, because we think that, the more that we are on large stage or in front of large audience, that bolsters the ego realm. But the truth of the matter is, we don't want to be obsessed with crowd sizes, right? We want to be obsessed with the gift and the assignment that is within us. And that is why we are here. So in order to continue, 2 more tips on being able to start shifting these blind spots, seeing them and shift them. We're looking at pattern recognition. We talk about that because you have certain habits and patterns, right? Yes. Hey, Apostles, thanks for joining us live. Yes. Well, you have these patterns and these habits in your life. You start looking for pattern recognitions. Come on. Can I say this right here? Some of you have been doing the same thing, the same way, for the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. But you're looking for something to be different. That is what they mean in the success community about insanity, is doing the same thing over and over. Now, we're not talking about conscious intention, focused action that's taking you, moving you forward. We're talking about when you are stuck in a pattern with ingrained habits that you've been doing over and over and over. Your life is the same it's always been. You may move from the east side of town to the west side of town, but what do? I want y'all to talk back to me. Anybody that's even moved in the last few years, what do we do when we move? Immediately, you start setting things up to bring the energy and the frequency of where you're comfortable into that environment. I started realizing this when I go to hotel rooms, right? Being highly sensitive, and for all my highly sensitive leaders, right? Highly sensitive is not a bad thing. It's actually a great thing. It's a superpower that we have. But as a highly sensitive, there's a certain way that we have to care for ourselves. And so I noticed I would say about maybe 7 years ago, I noticed that all the things I had to take with me when I travel so that I can support myself. And then one day I said, you know what? I am sick of carrying all of this baggage with me everywhere I go. Yes, yes, yes. Start looking for patterns and habits. Yes, Amanda, yes. I'm tired of carrying all this baggage with me, right? When I'm traveling recreating what I feel I need to support me when I'm away from home. And so I noticed, I would dare to say about maybe even 9, 10 years ago, I started getting sensitive about stuff, just having so much stuff. At one point, I thought I was going to become a minimalist. I just got tired of having so much stuff, right? And then when you travel, a whole suitcase is really dedicated to everything you need, from your toiletries and hygiene products and just everything. A whole suitcase just dedicated to that. And then I like options, right? So I'm not just taking the bare minimum. I my hat's off to people that can travel light. My daughter, I have a daughter that can travel light. I mean light. And it works for her. I was like, I need some of that, because I travel way too heavy because I like options, right? I like to know, like, if I'm going out for the evening, I want at least 2 or 3 options about what I'm going to wear, because I don't know how I'm going to feel. All right, so enough of that, right? The last thing that I want to point out about a tip is to adopt, Holy Spirit said, go back to this, all right? Adopt a growth mindset. Some of you don't even know what a growth mindset is. He says, go back to being stuck, doing the same, being the same, acting the same, speaking the same. And you're like a sleeping robot. You get wind up, you get the gift every single day. You get the gift of a brand new day with a brand new canvas that is yours to design, create, and paint. Whatever it is you want to create, this is it. I'm going to land here, I promise. I command you with all power and authority that you will begin to look at your ingrained habits and patterns. Right? Yes, 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 yes. That's right. Adopt a growth mindset. We're going to get into what that entails, right? So I command you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, for my old apostolic language, right? That you will wake up tomorrow morning and recognize this is a brand new day. What do? We wake up and we immediately lock back into the program. Lock back into the program. Part of that is necessary for what you are declaring you want to experience. But this is what I'm speaking to. Waking up and recognizing this is a brand new day. Anything is possible today. I have the power to create whatever I want to create today. So the first thing we do on the most basic level is, if you're staying locked into that 3D reality, is at least at a bare minimum, start declaring and decreeing that day to be as you desire it to be. Can I say this? Because I'm laying hands on somebody right now. You are going to stop being reactive to life, being reactive to what life brings to you. Instead, we want to bring you into a place where you are proactive. You are proactive. You are stepping out ahead of the day. And you are decreeing and declaring what this day will be, because you're sovereign like that. You have power. You have authority like that, beloved. So listen, I want to invite you guys to come and journey with me. As I said, we're going to be together for 8 weeks. And this is not even about a class or a course. The thing is that I've been really hearing from God for a few months now and been feeling this call to really gather the people in. Because like I said, there is a deposit. If you notice right at the top, it's all about now. How can I support you in learning how to create new frequencies, living with new frequencies that will create a new reality for you? How to really reset. This is not a thing, beloved, where, it's hocus pocus. Here we go. That's not this. There is something that I know God wants to pour in. What I'm sensing is that we're going to create a space for a new wineskin. This will not work for you if you are comfortable where you are and don't want to see change, and you're not ready for your life to shift. Right? You have no dreams, no aspiration. You have no assignment that you've been sent here to fulfill. This won't work for you. But if you can feel like I feel, we're in a unique time, beloved. We're in a very uncommon time. Things are moving and shifting faster than the speed of light. And so many more things are going to happen even before on the Gregorian calendar, we cross into 2025. I strategically said yes to this and set it up during the time of our high holy calendar. Our high holy calendar, right? I set it up for our high holy calendar, that we are at the head of the year according to God's calendar. There's the URL scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Go there and take a look, right? We're getting ready in just a couple of weeks to enter into the head of the year. And for those of you that follow me, you know that we always celebrate the new year in the fall of the year. Yes, Amanda, proactive versus reactive. My God, there's so much we could say about that, because we live reactive, but we want to become masterful at being proactive. You coming into your divinity and setting the stage, right? So we're going to be gathering right at the high holy time, right at the new year, according to God's calendar blessing. We want to enter the new year in the fall of the year. So right when we start that week, we're coming into a gathering. I'm sending emails out this week. We're coming into a sacred time of consecration and preparing ourselves to open so that God can pour in as we create the new wineskin. Now, if you are comfortable just doing the same, being the same, acting the same, go on, do what you do. It's okay. But if you hear and feel the call, give yourself the gift of taking 8 weeks out at the head of the year so that you can be proactive about what 25 is going to look, feel, and produce for you. All right, lovelies. Listen, I'm going to release you with many blessings. And guys, thank you so much for all of you who sow seed and support what we do, right? And I'm not going to even get into that today. You know what to do. You know what to, you know, all the ways that we sow. I'm just going to put that up real quick so that you can see it. I think this is it right here. That's it. Yeah, that's it right there. That's all the ways that you can sow seed, be a blessing, and support this work. And I'm going to release you. Like this video, like it on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe on YouTube, share it, and look at some of all those videos that I have up there. Put it on, let it play through the house, put it on when you're driving in the car. And that's going to help the algorithm so that this can get pushed out to even more people. All right. I'm going to release you with many, many blessings for the rest of your day and your week until we meet again. I hope to see you guys in the Spiritual Success Lounge for Reset Your Mindset for Success. Bye now.